What's going on? Welcome into your casual gaming news conversation for this week. I'm Nick, that's Connor, and this is your weekly gaming news podcast from Co-op64. Connor, how are we feeling?
Doing good. Lots to talk about this week. Some good, lots of bad.
Yeah.
But we're gonna break it all down. How you feeling?
Besides video game news, I'm really excited because Black Country New Road just dropped a new album today, and I've listened to it, I think, 5 times. A big part of it was just like waiting to see when you were going to be able to come by for the podcast, setting things up, reading through stories, going through the workday and everything. And I was just like, I'm just going to have this up on loop basically all day. And it's been a great day of listening to music. It was nice because when you rolled in, I was like, I feel pretty satisfied. I can turn this off and we can have a conversation. So you have not listened to this album yet, I assume, right?
No.
This is going to most likely be my album of the year. Not because I think it's going to be the best album that's released this year, but it just speaks to my heart. It just works for me.
Who could have guessed it?
I love this band so gosh darn much. It was really fun last night to see the Discord, the music chat popping in and out, talking about it, being like 12:01. We were ready to go. I was not ready to go at 12:01. I was doing some other stuff, and then around like 12:30, I was like, "Am I not going to listen to one of my favorite artists, if not my favorite artist of all time, a new album right away?" And it was like, "No, I got to do what I got to do." Hopped in last night, fell asleep around like 2 a.m. because of it, because I listened to it, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna go to bed." And then I was like, but I really want to listen to it again.
What's one more?
Yeah, what's one more? Skipped all the singles that time around, and then just went and enjoyed it. But here's the thing. The singles in this album, like most good albums, get amplified by being in the context of the album.
I'm not strong enough to skip the singles for bands that I like. Car Seat Headrest putting out a new album. Listen to the one teaser track, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm really in on this. I'm not gonna listen to whatever else they put out. They put out a second song. We're a month out. Click play on that.
Yep.
Like, fuck. It's like, why can't I just wait till the album comes out?
Those singles are also 10 minutes and 8.5 minutes. They are some beefy boys. Are you excited about that one too? Coming out in about a month.
Yeah, I hate the lead up for albums nowadays. I know some people like to like just shadow drop. Like Jeff Rosenstock is really good about that until like his most recent album, which was like the longest lead up where he had like a bunch of singles.
Got like 3 singles.
Yeah, which is really weird. All the other ones, as far as I know for Worry and Post and No Dream, all just shadow drop, and those were the best. I loved it. So to like have a lead up for this, it's just kind of annoying. I'm just not a big fan of it.
Yeah, the lead up for BCNR's latest album was pretty good because I was like, all right, I'm getting different vocalists for each track. This time around, it was the 3 different female leads for that band, and each one released one of their songs. And I was like, this is basically one single for each of those artists, basically, even though it is still the same band. And I enjoyed that heavily. And then this album is just going to be on repeat. It was funny, a couple months ago I sent you a live version of a song that's now on this album because I was like, this song is so fucking good, and I knew that it was going to be on this album, and you're like, I might just wait. You're going to love that song. It reminds me of just some of my favorite stuff from Radiohead, and I'm like, you're going to enjoy it. It's not Radiohead obviously, but it's like a certain instrumentation that Radiohead uses. You're like, oh, this is some good shit.
Did we talk about Radiohead coming back last week on the podcast, or was that just in person?
That was in person, I think.
I can't believe it. If I get to see them again in my lifetime, I'm going to be so stoked. Which it seems like it's going to happen.
So, which is very exciting. I might go. That's one that you gotta just send it, right?
I don't care where it is. That's one of those situations where like it can be in 5 states over. I'm going.
Probably in New York they'll do a show. As you'll at least get it in the States.
Chicago, yeah.
Hopefully Chicago. Chicago's nice, but it's also like it is still far away.
They'll do a North American tour if they do tour. That's what they're pretty good.
How
about
many places?
Touring, like in a lot of places.
You think we're getting like 20 U.S. locations, or is it going to just be the big cities?
As far as I remember, during the last tour, which I was following very closely, I was on the Reddit. I was looking at the set list every single night because they play a different set list like every night, and seeing like everybody freak out about them playing like a really deep cut or whatever, like talk show hosts coming back or whatever was like crazy for a lot of people.
Wild.
So speculating like what they were going to play, super fun to be engaged with that. But when they were touring, as far as I remember, it was like, okay, they're going to do like the east side of the country, hit some of the Midwest, and then they went like out west for like another leg of the tour or whatever. They were going everywhere. And then they started in 2016 and then stopped touring in 2018, and they were on and off that entire time.
Yeah.
So hopefully they do the same thing again, but
that's my issue with Car Seat Headrest.
Album.
That's my issue with the Car Seat Headrest album right now is they're only playing like 8 places, and I'm like, my schedule could not work around only 8 places. I think they're playing on I think actually they're playing a Friday in Chicago, and that's one that I'll try to figure out. Our schedule with these Fridays, I can do a Friday day trip. I just cannot do weekend trips almost ever.
Chicago for concerts for me is like, it needs to be like a once in a lifetime. Like I have to go see them. Like I really think off the top of my head, it's like Radiohead right now or Masayoshi Takanaka I would go see in Chicago.
Nine Inch Nails?
No,
because they just are tour so much that you feel good that you'll be able to hit them place in Columbus or even closer.
Yeah, I'll get to it eventually. You know what I mean? Like, whereas Radiohead, like, I don't know how long they're going to be around for. We might get one more album out of them, maybe two if we're lucky, and because they're all doing their little side stuff or whatever. And the smile is big for Johnny and Tom. So, I would be shocked that if I get to see them 3 more times.
I just like that, like, this might be one of the biggest news weeks that we ever have, and we start out the pod with 6 minutes of talking it up. It's fun, though. It's good to chop it up. Let's hop into housekeeping. We do have a Patreon where you can get this show 3 days early. You can get the Casual Gaming Conversation 3 days early, and you can get a bonus episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation every single week. This week's one was a Q&A with myself, and it was very, very fun. If you are very interested about the channel as a whole, just like how things operate, how we formed, all that type of stuff, that Q&A is for you. Connor's going to be doing a Q&A here in a couple weeks, and I assume that it will be very retro-centric questions, maybe some Kingdom Hearts love, maybe some Final Fantasy 13 questions. But yeah, that's going to be something that we're going to try out. Go and give that one a listen if you are over on Patreon, and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think about it. Also over on Patreon, you can get cool shows like Recollect and Retro and the Co-op 64 podcast every single week, along with some exclusive TikToks. Connor, part 2 of your PlayStation 2 collection goes up tomorrow. How are you feeling about that?
Good. 40 plus games of PS2 goodness. So look forward to that.
Yeah, I rewatched all of it yesterday, which I did not expect to. Normally after I edit one of your recollectings, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to put it down and not rewatch it. It's a great piece of content. Go check it out. Give it the click. Give it the like. It's a lot of fun over there. And then if you're at that highest member, you get your name read at the end of every single podcast that we do, including this one, where we have a bunch of new April members. Thank you so much for the support over there. Your name will be read at the end of every single podcast within April if you signed up in the month of March. And then if you want to sign up right now, that just a quick reminder, your name does not get read until the May names. That's we pull them at the very start of the month, and then we read them off since it is the start of the new month and everything. Discord, join the Discord. Like you can be having fun, like when Black Country New Road drops a new album that we're talking about in the music chat, or you can be talking about games, or just general things, or your pets, or food. Are you still sending your food journey in the Discord?
No, I just can't plate things in a way that makes it look nice. It tastes good. It just doesn't look great every single time. Or maybe I'm just not a good photographer. I don't know which side is the issue.
There we go.
Like
there is an issue.
There is an issue though, where I'm just like, this doesn't look good when I take a picture of it. So I've been cooking a lot and making a lot of good food. I'll talk about it, but like, I just don't want to send the pictures.
I did have the leftovers that you brought over here after the Switch 2 event for dinner the next night. The carrots and the rice reheated very well. Pork, not so much.
Yeah,
pork's such a tough meat already. It's reheating pork is never going to be a great idea. I mean, so someone let me know how to reheat pork in the comments of this podcast, please, because I have no idea.
Like throw it back in the oven. It might be like the best solution there, but no, I don't think there's a great solution no matter what. Yeah.
Also, we have a PO box. This is something that y'all requested a while back. Just if you want to send anything, link in the description below. If you go into the link tree, it's the first thing that pops up. People got upset for never reminding them about it, so we decided to throw in housekeeping for this podcast. We do have a PO box. New merch. You can get merch like this mug and other pieces of merch that we have. This is the new design from earlier this year. And then you can obviously get the classic design that is the Co-op 64 logo on shirts, mugs, and hoodies. There's a bunch of cool stuff over at co-op64store.com. And then also review us over on Apple Podcasts. Gets the podcast out to more people. Comment section. If you have something that we screw up during this podcast, let us know in the comment section down below. We'll let you know. We'll read it off for the next episode. Wasn't anything for the previous episode that I remember or saw when I checked last. So yeah, we're all good there.
People call me out to eat a shoe.
Oh, people were calling you out to eat a shoe. That is true. Yeah. Which you apparently did not need to eat a shoe.
I said Miyamoto had to say it. Miyamoto never said frames per second. That did not happen. But I put a shoe in my mouth anyways. Gosh darn it.
Gosh. Also join the Discord to go and see that photo because it's really funny. Headline number 1, Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Switch games like Zelda and Kirby cost $80. This is Jordan Miller over at VGC. Quote, the news comes as Nintendo has begun releasing pre-order information for software coming to the new system. According to multiple US retailers, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Party Jamboree, and Kirby in the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 editions will cost $80. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will sell for $70 according to retail listings. Nintendo's pricing structure for Switch 2 games so far appears to be erratic, with Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza both having different pricing models depending on whether the players buy physical or digital editions. Mario Kart World will cost $80 for a physical copy, according to Nintendo. On the other hand, Donkey Kong Bonanza, which was announced today for Nintendo Switch 2, will retail for $65 digitally and $70 physically. Nintendo hasn't provided an explanation for the discrepancy in prices. The Nintendo Switch 2 edition of games will feature improvements such as better visuals or exclusive features. Switch 2 edition games are separate from standard Switch 2 backwards compatibility and need to either be purchased separately or upgraded to for owners of Switch 1 versions. End quote. Connor, this was a big one. This was sweeping the nation when it came to social media. $80 for Switch games, not $90, $80 for Switch games.
$80 in the US.
In the US.
For physical and digital is what we know now.
Yes.
It seems that there is $90 versions in other territories.
Yes. That is all USD.
There is like a difference in the digital and physical pricing.
100%.
So, like they say in the article, everything seems to be kind of erratic. We don't exactly know all the details at this time, but from what we can see, 80 in the US, potentially 90 in Europe, it's a lot. For
Connor,
sure.
as we get these details about the pricing for Switch 2 games, the first question that comes to mind is, does this make sense to you? And does it even matter if it makes sense?
It doesn't. When we talked about it initially, I had the reaction of, I saw this coming. The writing's been on the wall for a very long time. The prices are likely to go up just because of development costs, because of inflation, because of potential tariffs, because of X, Y, and Z. That I'm not exactly shocked. We talk about GTA 6, about potential of that being $100. We're just talking across the board about games getting more expensive. So when I saw this, I was like, not happy about it, but it makes sense. And as I've reflected more and more on discussing it, I've come down on the fact that you can have all of these reasons for why we're arriving at that $80 price point, but $80 is $80 is $80. I don't care if it's technically cheaper than it used to be if you would adjust for inflation. I'm pulling out $80 to pay for a video game, and that changes the way that I'm going to look at purchasing games on Nintendo Switch 2. And that sucks. You're going to have to pick and choose if you want to play Donkey Kong or Mario Kart World for a lot of people on which one you're going to invest that high dollar amount into at launch, or if you're going to pick up the console at all, if this is going to be the norm. And I totally get the frustrations and the anger. I do wonder if this is going to become the new norm across the industry, and I would suspect it is. Which sucks, and I don't want things to get more expensive. It's obviously not consumer friendly, but as somebody who mainly plays single player stuff, I hope that at the very least that this does keep some of the status quo with the industry of hopefully we're getting games that are fully complete and have a focus on that single player content and aren't focused on microtransactions or finding other new creative ways to nickel and dime us and get even more money out of us. Hopefully with this $80 increase, we're looking at a Mario Kart game that's going to be good for 100 hours. And then you take that $10 decrease from 80 to 70, and hopefully that Donkey Kong game is worth that $70. It's going to be a case-by-case situation where we don't exactly know how much content is in each of these games, and you gotta wait for reviews and you gotta wait to see what people are saying if it's going to be worth it for you. But for me, who's excited about the Switch 2, I'm bummed about the price of these games, especially when talking about like upgrades for the 2 games that have upgraded with DLC, like that kind of makes sense to me of like, okay, like I get the price increase there. But for something like Tears of the Kingdom, where it's just a visual and performance upgrade for $80 if you don't own the game already, it's like, geez Louise, that's wild for a Switch 1 game that was $70. So it's just all over the place. There's a lot of factors here that is just kind of ruining a lot of the hype around Switch 2, and that's on Nintendo. They should have been more clear with all of this up front. The confusion on the $90 physical price tag, they should have said, this is what it is. Because we talked about this. We've seen people in the United States saying that physical games are $90. That doesn't seem to be true. $80 still sucks, but $90 is even worse. And the fact that it is $90 in other countries sucks even worse. So like, I just wish that they were clear and upfront with all of this information from the jump. Let us know how much the console price is. Let us know how much physical games are, and if there is that price difference, and whether or not it's region specific or not, and let us know like what the upgrade path is. We know that NSO, Nintendo Switch Online, is going to pay for a lot of these if you have
just Zelda is what we know as of now.
Yeah, if you have the game already. But like, what is it for the other games? And why is this one $20 and why is this one $10? And like, how does that all work exactly when it comes to these pricing models? It just sucks because I'm excited for the Switch 2. I think Mario Kart World looks awesome. I think Donkey Kong Bonanza looks awesome. I'm excited for this. This is something that I'm going to get at launch. It's something that we cover. So we naturally are going to pick this up no matter what, begrudgingly. And we're going to have to, every single time we're talking about one of these, factor in the fact that this is something that is going to be an investment for people more so than ever when talking about that $80 price tag, and be like, listen, Mario Kart World, is it great? Is it $80 great? And that's going to factor into our reviews and the way we discuss this console and this software from here on. And I'm just fascinated to see what gets that $80 price tag, what gets that $70 price tag. How is this all going to pan out in the long run? If the backlash to this is going to have any effect, my suspicion is that it won't, unfortunately, that a lot of people are going to talk a big game about this is unacceptable, we're not doing it, and then it's going to sell out at launch. And we're going to be moving towards $80, and then we're quickly going to be moving towards $90. And then once GTA comes out, we're talking $100, and everybody's following suit. And that sucks. So let's see. Somebody's going to do it first. I'm not necessarily shocked that it's Nintendo doing it first, but that's my diatribe on this. How you feel?
This sucks. $80 is $80, as you mentioned. And I feel like when we were discussing it as the live reaction was coming out, because we did that breaking casual gaming conversation as the news was coming out right after the Switch event, we looked to the logic of it. We're like, yeah, this makes sense. It sucks. As I've sat with it for a couple more days, and when we hop into something like story number 2, discussing the tariffs and the Switch pre-order being delayed, it's like, this is really looking bad. Like, and I'm not like, I'm a super optimistic dude in general. I think that this is a very bad step in the current state that we're in. We should be trying to make games that are cheaper and more accessible and giving people ways to go and play more and more games, something like a Game Pass, compared to raising prices, because right now, economically, it feels like things are getting more and more expensive and we have less money than ever. So when you're now asking the consumer to say, hey, $80, come on in, it feels a little bit like, it feels a lot more rough than $70. I know this is about to sound a little bit silly, but when I see $70, I go, that's close-ish to $50. When I see $80, I go, that's close to $100. And I know it's only a $10 difference, but yeah, that's sort of where my dumb brain goes, I guess. $80 feels like, oh man, as somebody that once was I'm going to pick up 3 games a year type of player outside of my Call of Duty, Madden, Fortnite craze. When it used to be 60, it's like, that's less than $200. Now we're getting real close to $250 for those type of gamers. And that actually starts to add up. That extra $50 might go and be like, yeah, no, I'm only picking up 2 games this year. I'm only picking up 1 game this year. Thankfully, there is hey, you can get Mario Kart packed in, so it's only a $50 digital. But guess what? The next Zelda game is going to cost $80.
Right. That's the weird thing for me, is that, okay, it seemed like Mario Kart is the title for this. This is what's going to push the hardware. They want that at the higher price. So that's why Donkey Kong Bonanza is cheaper. It's like, it seems like maybe it's just Mario Kart. And that was the speculation we had for 24 hours after the fact. Then I saw Tears of the Kingdom, $80. And I'm like, everything is on the table here, it seems like. An upgraded Switch 1 game, $80?
So I will say, when we were discussing Upgrade Pass before the Switch 2 came out, I assumed that it would be a $10 upgrade. So an $80 upgrade isn't insane to me, I don't think, because $70 for Tears of the Kingdom when it gets there, $10 upgrade path. But it is the $80 figure now that we're sitting with that is the shocking amount that I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even consider that, especially because when I think of Switch games, I still think of that $60 price tag.
But here's the issue with the way that we've seen other companies do it. The way Sony does it is, okay, they're remaking or remastering Horizon. They're remastering Days Gone. It's a $10 upgrade. But if you want to buy those games, I'm pretty sure it's $70.
Well, it's $70.
It's just the base price.
But it's a $10 upgrade from your initial purchase that was going to be $60 when you got Days Gone back in the day. So that's the hard part.
What I'm saying is that I'm surprised that Tears of the Kingdom just isn't $70 again on Switch 2. And if you want that upgrade for what you already have bought, it's $10 or whatever. That's what I thought would make the most sense.
Yeah, I get that.
But the issue is that they're increasing the price to $80 for the baseline, it seems like. But then why is Donkey Kong $70? It just doesn't make any sense. What is the rhyme or reason to any of this?
I think that the reason I just gave of, hey, we're just going to, it's $10 to go and get an upgraded path. And it's like, oh, well, that math kind of sucks now. And then when you look at Kirby and you look at Mario Party Jamboree, there's DLCs in there. So like $20 DLC, it isn't insane to think about. Normally when you go and you have a older thing that gets DLC, the DLC is sometimes packed in, like what we're getting with Cyberpunk and the Ultimate Edition that they're doing there. That's $70. Hey, we're just going to pack it all in for the normal market price nowadays. I would have assumed with this system that Jamboree would have been $70 with this DLC with the camera and everything. And with Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I would assume that that's a $70 title with the upgrade enhancements and the DLC. Seeing that $8 figure, once again, feels bad. Yeah. It's not good, but I can go and like connect the dots and be like, okay, well, they're saying, hey, this has $20 worth of value. This has $10 worth of value. It goes back to the World or the Nintendo Switch Tour app, and something Reggie used to say when it came to Wii Sports. Reggie had to push for that title to be a pack-in title, but Nintendo is very, very against anything that they work on giving it out for free. And so when it comes to, hey, you guys worked hard to go and get these enhancements, good to go for Switch 2, just go and make Zelda free, they're very against that. They've always said that they're against that. Is it consumer friendly? No. Does it hurt even more when it feels like everyone's wallet is hurting even more? Absolutely. So right now we're in this whole hype, and I understand the marketing aspect of it. I really do. Of, hey, you want the headlines to be buried about the bad shit, or you want to get out in front of it. And the hard part is, I think that what I've concluded is, I'm like, I initially saw those headlines and was able to logic myself out of them not being really, really bad. And as I've now sat with it for 2 days, it sort of sat in with just like, this is bad. Like, this is really bad. And as somebody that plays a lot of games every single year and will be picking up the latest and greatest when it comes to Nintendo, spells, yeah, I do think the next Zelda, the next 3D Mario, the next Super Smash Bros., the next major title, very curious to see where we end with Splatoon and Fire Emblem type games, Bayonetta, if those are going to be 70 or 80. I wouldn't be shocked if they were 80. I think that they're going to be 70. I would not be shocked if they were 80, though. It just feels gross to some level. And then what this spells for the rest of the industry, yeah, PlayStation's licking their chops right now. Xbox is doing the same thing. Everyone is going and thinking, hey, we got to go and get these games. We need to go and increase these prices. We need to make sure that we're getting as much money out of the players because we're not gaining more players. The solution is no longer we can gain more players. It is we got to raise the prices.
And they have to grow. Like, that's just the realities of business, is that these companies can't stay stagnant. So they have to find new and creative ways to extract more money, and it sucks.
Yeah.
I guess the optimist in me, or the just trying to look on the bright side of it, is that I would rather pay an upfront fee than them find new creative ways to nickel and dime me. And I just hope that they don't do both. Because eventually they could do both. I just hope that Nintendo isn't stupid enough to charge $80 and then find ways to like add skins into Mario Kart World. You know what I mean? Like that would be even worse.
What I need is NSO to be that solution. Hey, every single year, in the same way that with PlayStation and Xbox, I feel like I always just give out this subscription price at the start of the year. When Mario Kart, inevitably the world gets a little bit bigger and they add that DLC, it better be on NSO. If there is new content, it better be a free drop. Those two things need. I think every upgrade path needs to be through NSO. That would be the way that they can start to get a little bit of a better PR back in on this. I don't know if that's possible. Here's the hard part: the 4 games that we know that have these upgraded enhanced editions, it's DLC, which I get being more expensive, and then NSO. If it is just NSO, or if it is Mario Odyssey now runs at 60, it better be an NSO. It better be you already paid for that. You're good to go. I've always been a fan of NSO because of the Mario Kart DLCs and just being like, hey, feels free to me, and having that free content in the same way that Game Pass feels like a free subscription, even though it's not. You pay for it up front, and obviously this is just dumb consumer brain, I guess, and it might just be me, but it feels like I'm getting that content for free when it comes in, and it's not. Yeah, sure, I paid for it on the front end, but it's whatever. Those enhanced editions, they just better be through NSO. And a $10 upgrade just feels yucky. If I see, I think Mario Odyssey, because it was initially 60, would be a $70 game on Switch if there is a upgrade edition, enhanced edition that they're trying to utilize. I'm curious to see how many like truly enhanced editions we're going to be getting for titles. I don't think we're going to be getting a ton.
The fact that there's not more at launch, because there is titles that you can put into your Switch One that have small enhancements, right?
Yeah, things like Scarlet Violet and Odyssey are on there.
So like it's. And there, like, why do those not have full-on releases, and why does this, like, for like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? I'm curious as to like, I imagine I could see it just being this, and then maybe some future Switch One titles that are yet to be released, where you have your Switch One version, your Switch Two version.
Yeah,
but like, how do you really need Rhythm Heaven to look that much better?
But then there's things like Metroid Prime, and it's going to cost $70, and it's going to run better on your Switch and have those performance modes and everything.
Oh, really?
Right? Well, yeah, like. There's the Switch 2 edition of Prime, and then there's going to be a Switch 1 case.
But you can't take your Switch 1 game and just put it in your Switch 2 and it's going to run better?
I don't think that it's going to give you the options to go and run it at 120
unless you have the Switch 2
version.
Unless you have
the Switch 2 version, yeah. I'd be shocked.
But why wouldn't they have an upgrade path then?
There would be a $10 upgrade path.
We don't know about that.
Yeah, we just don't know about that information now.
That's weird.
Which is right now. I also feel like we're in the dark on a lot of information, but I also understand being in the dark because there was still more bad news to get through, which was the news that we got today with the tariff information.
Yeah.
So
I think they probably hoped that they weren't going to have to address that stuff, and they were like, we'll deal with that when we get to it. But in my last thing on this, like, in my opinion, this is on Nintendo solely. They could have helped themselves a little bit by just getting out in front of it and being upfront and being honest. I think it is way worse because they tried to hide it in the way that they did.
I also think that you don't want bad news on your birthday. And hitting us with that $80 price mark on this marketing day might have been a bad move. They probably should have waited a year, wait for GTA to make their move, and then consider, all right, when we drop Odyssey 2 or whatever, we make that an $80 price tag. But being the first one and then allowing it to be what feels like every single bit of Switch 2 news that comes out when it comes to pricing or what the console is feels like there's a negative aura around it right now. That is not what you want. You want, like, it's insane that we get on TikTok the next day, you get on your socials the next day, and you have the press playing the system, glowing about it. Everyone's having a great time playing Mario Kart and Bonanza. I watched 4 hours of a Treehouse the next day, and the entire time I was like, these games look awesome.
That's what sucks, is that like it's supposed to be fun and exciting and happy, and like now it is very much not, reasonably so. Yeah,
and it just has that stink all around it, and like that's the other part where it's just like, yeah, sure, we're excited. We love video games, and playing the next Donkey Kong 3D platformer from seemingly the Odyssey team seems awesome. Yeah. But it's just like but it feels like going and just having this blind excitement when there is other stuff to discuss feels a little silly.
Let's talk about something just positive real fast because I don't think it's going to come up otherwise. The mouse feature for Metroid Prime. I was excited for Metroid Prime. I think I'm playing that whole gosh darn game at my desk with the mouse feature. I think that looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious how it's exactly going to like feel in the like long run. Like if I'm going to be comfortable playing that like the entire run time. But the idea that they were talking about like you can just pick up the controller and just immediately starts working, and then you can put down the controller and then it goes right back to mouse mode. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool.
I will say by not getting a date for Metroid, I do think that there's actually a chance we get a summer direct this year, not a September one, because we got to know when Metroid's coming out. We got to know.
Why couldn't it be September announcement and then like October, November release?
Yeah,
I think you could see Pokemon again this summer. After
for like there's definitely going to be a Pokemon Present sometime.
That's what it's gonna. I feel like that's what you do, right? You do Pokemon Direct announcement for November, and then you do a September Direct and
October
for Metroid. I think that works.
I think though that you want to get out in front of what's happening post Bonanza, which is just still a great name for a Donkey Kong game.
Yeah.
What you want to give the consumer the faith in the same way that E3 that year they did the, hey, here's everything in March, and then E3 they come around and hit us with another direct. I think that obviously the timing's a little bit different, but I could see a June 20th direct. Hey, this is what's happening in the back half of the year. You give the Metroid date. You give the one like. There's a chance they get the marketing for Hollow Knight and we don't know about it, and like that's where that is. And you throw in a couple other small things. Hades 2 apparently has a great relationship with them. That was like one of the most, in my opinion, like underrated moments of the direct, where it's like, dude, the indies are showing up on this entire thing. We did not discuss that at all. Between Deltarune, Hollow Knight, and Hades. This is going to once again seemingly be your indie box that you just run everything on, whether it's handheld or console.
I'm so excited for this thing, but like I feel almost bad for being excited about it because of all the bad news around it. That it's just like, damn it, like you only get so many console launches in your lifetime, and now we're just going to be talking about negative stuff rather than
2 months.
The exciting games, and that's rightfully so. That's on them for doing this.
The hard part, the main question, and it will not be answered until we get to the release of this thing, is this going to actually affect things? Like, is it actually going to hurt their bottom line? Is it going to hurt console sales? And what I would assume there was a TikTok I saw, can't shout out the creator, I forget who they were, but they were just like, it was this whole thing about somebody being really upset, and then someone's like, no, but I'm excited about it, and they were just like, dude, like, screw this, screw Nintendo, screw everything that's happening in the world. Saw this, and then it's like, I just pre-ordered one. He's like, you got me one too? It's like,
exactly. That's the problem with all of this, that the only way we can hit back at Nintendo and tell them that this is not acceptable is not to buy it, and we have to buy it because
this is our job
or whatever.
To some level.
And I'm gonna be honest, if I wasn't doing this, I still probably would be shelling out the cash. I just like new tech. I like the new exciting shiny thing. I bought a PS5 Pro for gosh darn sake.
Yeah.
Like that's just who I am. I'm the car enthusiast who wants the nice car or whatever. Like that's what I do with video games and how I've always been. But I think that I totally understand and respect somebody for being like, I'm out. I'm not doing it. And I think if enough people say that, then hopefully they listen, lower the price, change their ways, find new ways to get this down and more accessible to more people. And that's the ideal situation. That's what I want to see. Because you go to the live stream and everybody's just spamming, lower the price, lower the price, lower the price. And I'm like, okay, like I can see it. There is clearly a groundswell of people who are like, this is not okay. This is not acceptable. I'm just curious to see once the game comes out, or once the console comes out, is it going to matter? And if I had to predict, it's not going to matter, unfortunately. We did the same thing with the PS5 Pro where everyone's like $700, unacceptable. It's pacing as well as the PS4 Pro. It just seems like everything's getting more expensive and people are still willing to pay for it if they're excited about it. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a very interesting lead up. I wish it was interesting because of the games and the announcements and the hardware and not about this stuff, but that's the world we live in, and buckle up.
Story number 2, Nintendo delays Switch 2 pre-order date in the United States to assess impact of Trump's tariff. This is Wesley Yinpool at IGN. Quote, Nintendo has taken the unprecedented decision to delay the Switch 2 pre-orders in the United States, blaming the impact of Trump's tariffs and, quote, evolving market conditions, end quote. Pre-orders were set to go live in the United States on April 9th. Nintendo did not share an updated kickoff date, but did promise that the June 5th, 2025 release date of the Switch 2 itself remains intact. Nintendo issued IGN the following statement. Pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 in the United States will not start April 9th, 2025 in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. Nintendo will update timing at a later date. The launch date of June 5th, 2025 is unchanged. Nintendo has confirmed the pre-order delay is specific to the United States. In the UK, for example, Nintendo's pre-order delay remains unchanged. Nintendo announced the Switch 2 at $449.99, with Mario Kart World bundle price being $499.99. Mario Kart World itself is priced at $79.99.
Real quick, before we jump fully into this, we never talked about the price of the console, at least on this podcast. And with everything else that we know now, with like the game cost, has your opinion changed at all about the $449, $500 price point, or are you still like, that seems reasonable? Because it seems like everybody, as far as I can tell, $449 is fine for a lot of people, which is crazy in comparison to how much the Switch 1 costs. It's like that's a big ass increase.
I mean, it's a 150% increase, right?
Yeah, and I think most people are going to get the $500 version with Mario Kart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the conversation is the console price gets released and it's like, cool, I'm fine with that, expecting $70 games. I'm going to buy more than 5 games on the system that are going to be that $80 title that is going to be the, hey, $10 each time. That's going to add up to this being a $500 or $550 console. It's going to start adding up. They're making it cheaper on the front end to go in, making it more expensive on the back end. With that being said, with what this console can do, with running games at 120 and being a 4K 60, I didn't expect that from this console. I straight up did not expect them to go that deep into it. I know a lot of people were like, it has to be there, but I was like, I'm going in with such low expectation. I was expecting people to come out of these preview events and be like, the screen is exactly like the Switch 1 screen. It does not feel like a step up. I was not expecting this piece of hardware to feel like it was able to compete with what we are seeing from things like a Series X or even a Series S, or even right now a PS5 Series X, where it's not the same level, but it's like the thing on the box on the PlayStation 5 is very similar to the thing that's on the box when it comes to the Switch 2. It like, if you're able to run some games, which once again, most games on a Series X right now are locked at 30 for some goddamn reason. So if you're able to run some games at 120, especially your first party banger shooter that is looking to be Metroid Prime 4, that's impressive.
It's just that it's a Switch 1 game that
Totally.
Like, I'm curious to see if Switch 2 games, like how those end up running.
I assume that they're going to be able to run at 60.
Do we know anything about Mario Kart? I know Digital Foundry did like a big breakdown.
They
or
must
whatever.
have. Get in the comments about what Mario Kart's doing. But like, I assume that these games are going to run very well. I'm very sure, like with its price point, I'm actually kind of okay with like all of it except for the game price. But that price point to me screams like, relatively, once again, things are more expensive than ever. People are like, it doesn't compete with the PS5 when it comes to power. I'm like, one, the PS5 or Xbox or wherever you want to go, that $500 console is not able to be taken into a handheld mode. That's step one. Two, Nintendo exclusives. So there is value.
That's the reason you buy the console.
Those are the two things that make it unique. It's
right.
Nintendo games, and you get to take it on the go and plug it back into your TV. That's what makes this game this console awesome. And there's a lot to be excited about. I'm not shocked about the pricing. Are you?
I think that I thought it was going to be $400. I'm a little bit bummed that it is $450, but I think that like a lot of people thought that the tariffs were already baked into that $450 price point, and that's why the $50 more.
Connor, with these tariffs, with marketing conditionings changing, is this actually the only cost is $450?
I could see it being more. Which
it's going to be more. I'm going to just hop in. It's going to be more.
What a fucking disaster for Nintendo, dude. It's not on this specifically isn't on them, but they're going to be the ones who have to announce that they're raising the price of their console from $450 to $600 or whatever. And that's and on top of that, they already have all the other bad press. It's like, geez, man, this is gonna get bad.
Connor and I were talking off camera. I just want to have people hop in on this conversation. I do think that there's a reason that they haven't said, hey, we're going to go and reestablish the pre-order date for when, because they are waiting to see a little bit in the next week or so how the tariff situation sort of shakes out. If it remains the status quo,
right.
It obviously Trump has talked about cutting deals with TikTok and the way that he's like, hey, Chinese government, we might lower tariffs if we can figure something out. There's a bunch of politics. Once again, we are a video game show, so we're going to keep it mostly video game based, but there are a bunch of political factors that are coming into this that are going to heavily influence what I believe is, hey, I'm not going to say I'm going to eat a fucking shoe, but I will throw out, I would be very shocked if this was not going to be hit with a price increase. And I think that it is the thing of 500. Is that the end of it? 550, 6, 7? How, like,
right.
We're talking about tariffs that are ranging anywhere, I believe, from like 25% to like close to 50. So it's like, what's the price increase going to be on this? Also, I think that the $80 price tag, there is definitely some level of corporate greed that is coming into play when it comes to, hey, we just need our bottom line to go up from Nintendo. They are now able to get away with, obviously, their bottom lines being hurt by something like a tariff and the price of going and getting something like the Nintendo Switch 2 manufactured and then put in the United States is now going to be a more expensive process.
But they can make it up on software with that price point. It might be their logic.
I kind of, well, that's the thing. There was hope that the tariff, that extra $50 was, hey, the tariffs are coming. We know it's going to happen. It's tough. We were trying to hit 400. We can't hit 400. We're going to make it 450. And that was a thought that I had on Wednesday for sure. Too. And now it seems like, hey, with this news, they did not expect these tariffs to be exactly what they are, or to come in literally a day after the announcement of the Switch 2. I can only imagine what the marketing team and PR team for Nintendo is seeing right now. This is, once again, disaster levels for the Switch 2, because you're right. It is, hey, you can say on the front end, this is due to a situation that we are just being put in, but there's still the people that have to come out and say we're raising the price of our console.
And then you go into the store and it's $600.
Yep.
That's what the consumer's going to see. They're not going to be thinking about all the factors. Like I said, with the $80 thing, it's like, well, inflation, and if you factor all these things in, it makes sense that it's $80. It's like, no. $80 is $80 is $80. If this thing is $600, you're going to get sticker shock and you're going to think twice about buying this console.
Yeah.
And
$450 gave some people a shock.
Even if there's a reason for it with these tariffs, it's like, I don't think a lot of people are going to think that deeply about it. They're just going to see the price and be like, fuck no. And that's a really bad press for Nintendo.
And the hard part is, I think that, once again, this is going to reverberate through the entire games industry, where PlayStation, I would not be shocked if they announced a price increase for the PlayStation 5. I would not be shocked. Or Series X. I think that Xbox's whole price model is, hey, get things as low as possible and be consumer friendly with things like Game Pass. So maybe there's a chance that they try not to higher it in the United States. But I don't know. I think that we are about to see a terrifying shift in the industry. And that's where I'm at. Where I'm like, I think
you just said terrifying, and I was like, is that a pun? Because we're talking about tariffs.
Oh my
gosh. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
But
I couldn't get off that.
Once again, I try to remain extensively positive on this show. This is a 1-2 punch of just absolutely shit news. And I want to go and bring in the fact that when there were insiders for the past year talking about what they want from the industry and how to grow the industry, they looked at two things as major ways that the industry will be able to grow. GTA 6 in the Switch 2 launch. That is getting new people in, getting people excited to buy video games again, getting people to go out and buy a PS5 or an Xbox Series X to play GTA 6. Those two factors were major in the expectation for these analysts for the industry to grow. And the hope at the end of the tunnel was the industry grows, people don't lose their jobs, the consumers are happy with awesome fucking games, we're able to make the next banger, and things are good. Right now, there's a bunch of crap that is surrounding the Switch 2 launch, and then guess what? It's probably going to be met with more crap because GTA might be $100.
Yeah.
So we're in a massive situation industry-wide that is, hey, these two things that were major North Stars to look at when it came to where we're heading for the next 5-10 years, when it came to hundreds of millions of dollars, when it came to the Switch 2 and what GTA is going to pull in and everything. Now those things are going to, once again, we think the Switch 2 is going to sell exceedingly well, and we do think that GTA is going to sell well. But like
I think this changes a lot from my perspective. I think $80 price tag for games, that's
one thing.
That's one thing, and I think that will give a lot of people pause when it comes to picking up a Switch 2. But I think that pause will be short-lived when the hype gets it going, and the new FromSoftware game, which we're going to talk about, isn't exactly what we want, but people, I imagine there's going to be buzz around that.
I'm so excited, yeah.
When Donkey Kong comes out and has a 94 on Metacritic, are people going to break? We don't know. Like, how does that all work? I think that this will, if this is in fact going to be $600, $550, I think that will have a very tangible effect on the trajectory of the Nintendo Switch 2.
I did think before the price came out, I was very receptive of the idea of this being a $500 console if it had the bells and whistles that I was looking for, and it seemingly does. And I think that there's a lot of people like myself that are not just like, I'm not a huge Nintendo fan, I just really love video games, and I am excited about the next piece of tech, and I am excited about Mario Kart. There's a lot of people like me that would be like, yeah, I would do 500, but the hard part is the Switch. That extra $50, hey, spend more money on your games, and then 3 days later, let's just say this comes out a week later and there is a price increase. 2 weeks later and there's a price increase. Spend more on your games, and then 2 weeks later also spend more on the console. It's really hard with any explanation for it not to seem like a major middle finger to the consumer. I mean, this is part of our job, so we literally have to, but like, I would fully understand people being like, I'm no longer excited about this if this is a $600 console. And I like, honestly, other people just being dour on it would also make me in that same sense like, yeah, this kind of blows. Like, what? And I do think that there's a chance that they're really hoping that there is a change in the situation that is currently happening.
I think we could be talking about something completely different on Monday.
Yeah.
Like, this seems very much in flux, and things are changing by the day, by the hour, that like there's one plan and then the plan has changed completely to the other thing. It's like that we've already seen that happen with these tariffs before, that like we don't know. We don't really know exactly what this is going to look like. By the time you're listening to this on Monday, if you're watching on free feeds, like we could be in a completely different world. So we'll see exactly how it goes. It's once again killing the hype. I'm excited about this thing. I want it. I'm going to buy it no matter what, almost certainly, like, which sucks. I'm not happy about it, but we got to cover it. We got to talk about it. But when it comes to the software, when it comes to the hardware, I'm excited about it. It's just like, why does it have to be surrounded by so much negativity that is self-inflicted for the most part, and then for some of it outside of their control? But it's all being encompassed by the Switch 2 launch, and that's what matters here. So
yeah, it really feels like there's just a major bullseye on Nintendo's back right now, and it's like,
yep, can't catch a break.
Yeah, and I like, once again, it's really hard because I felt like my social feed for the past couple days and just trying to keep a pulse on what everyone's talking about with the Switch news, I felt like even I'm watching the Treehouse and there's that excitement, and I like our audience. Also, shout out to the people that just showed up on a random Thursday morning to go and watch Nintendo games with me for 4 hours. A lot more people than I thought it was going to be hanging out. There was excitement in the room. Like, we're all having a great time.
The games look fucking awesome.
The games look fucking unbelievable. The issue is, it almost felt like we got, after 1 or 2 days of a lot of people setting in with the reality of an $80 games, it was like, all right, that's the reality. Let's now, like, this sucks, but now let's get excited about the games. I got excited about the games, and then this morning, this comes through, and it's just like, well, now I'm pissed again. Yeah. And I am forgetting about the fun that I had on Thursday watching these Switch games in a treehouse. Yeah. And they really need some sort of good news. I really do think that, like, if I'm them, it's a conversation. But it's like, we're talking about, like, the largest CEOs of the entire food chain being like, do we fucking lower the price of these games to $70? Like, I promise you, they're having the conversation. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I would be shocked if it did. If they raise the price of the console and they foresee it being a long-term thing and not something that's going to get reverted fairly quickly,
I could see them potentially lowering the price of the games or whatever, just to be like, okay, like we can't have all bad press around this. Like, but I don't know if that's even feasible at this point.
I do want to throw out there, if the price does get raised, we will not see Switch 1 sales numbers. We will not see anything close to Switch 1 sales numbers from the Switch 2.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting for us when it comes to reviewing it. It's going to be like, if with like the PS5 Pro, it's like, how the fuck do you even recommend this thing or whatever?
Yeah.
Like,
it's a $700 console.
It's $700 console, but like I like it. But like if the Switch is $600 and has all these great games, it's like, am I even going to be able to tell people like, in what situation would you be able to recommend this?
That.
It's like it's ridiculous. It's comical how much that's going to cost. So.
All right. Is there anything else when it comes to these two stories? We have another Switch story here in a moment. We're just talking Switch 2 for the first like 4 stories of this. But are you all set?
I'm satiated.
All right. Headline: Miyazaki promises Switch 2 exclusive Duskbloods won't distract FromSoftware from single-player games. This is Jordan Miller at VGC. Quote: The Duskbloods, a brand new multiplayer-focused game from FromSoftware, was announced during Wednesday's Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Now speaking as part of Nintendo's Creator Voice series, Hidetaka Miyazaki explains how the Duskbloods came to be and his interest in the PvPvE genre. Miyazaki revealed that the Duskbloods started as an original Nintendo Switch game before Nintendo approached the team about making the game for Nintendo Switch 2. Quote: I've always found the PvPvE structure very entertaining. It allows for a broad range of game design ideas while also letting us leverage our experiences of designing challenging enemy encounters, end quote, Miyazaki said. However, Miyazaki was also quick to reassure fans that FromSoftware isn't moving away from the style of game that made them the development giant it is today. Quote: As a side note, please allow me to address one thing. As previously mentioned, this is an online multiplayer title at its core, but this doesn't mean that we are a company that have decided to shift to a more multiplayer-focused direction with titles going forward. The Nintendo Switch 2 version of Elden Ring was also announced, and we still intend to actively develop single-player focused games such as this that embrace our more traditional style, end quote. Connor, there's a lot here. It's a multiplayer game. We now understand what this game is. It's a battle royale, seemingly.
It's kind of. It's like
8-player.
Who's 8-player, whoever is last man standing is one of the win conditions, but there's also like other ways to win matches or whatever. But it's like, it is a matchmaking video game where like you play online against other people. And here's the thing with that, and it really is, you got to look at Night Rain and how that was marketed at first. When they showed that first trailer, we're like, oh my God, more Elden Ring. And then it became very obvious that it was co-op, like that you could play it with other people. It was like, okay, this is a multiplayer video game.
I would say about 20 seconds into that trailer, you knew that there was multiple people attacking something with collaboration.
If FromSoftware wanted to make a multiplayer game for Nintendo Switch 2 and said it was a multiplayer game and was upfront with that information with the trailer of like, okay, you're fighting other people, this is what it is, I'm okay with that. I can live with that. It hurts my excitement for it. I want a single player experience, something like Bloodborne, like we all thought it kind of was at first, where it's like, okay, this is going to be what they're known for. It would be a letdown that it's a multiplayer experience, but it's not as bad as having the rug pulled out from under you, where it's like, I'm excited for the single player experience, and now it's something that I don't even know if I want altogether. If it was just, this is a multiplayer game from FromSoftware, it's like, oh, okay, I'm interested in that. I'll probably check it out on Switch 2, and we'll see from there. But like the fact that they baited us into thinking it was one thing and now it's another, it's like, why were you not just upfront with this? It's the same as the Switch 2 pricing. It's just just get better, more clear marketing.
I will say, trailer-wise, you're talking about a team that's trying to develop a trailer. They're obviously saying, hey, throw cool shit in there, make this a FromSoftware trailer, all that stuff, throw in the cool enemies and all that stuff. There should have been because that last shot seemingly is walking up against somebody that would be a real-life player, and it's a foe, and you guys clash against each other. So, like, rewatching the trailer with the information we had, it's a little bit more clear. But, they also did, right away, press release happens, it's a multiplayer game. Every single person right away knew that it was a multiplayer. There was no confusion after the fact. Very clear. In the like less than 2 hours later, we knew it was PvPvE. Like, they're doing their job there. With that being said, it does 100% take away from the level of excitement for this title, for sure. With that being said, it's a FromSoftware game on Switch 2. I'm going to play the fuck out of it. I'm excited about it. Duh.
I trust that it's going to be good still.
Yeah, no,
it's not what I want, but it's still FromSoft.
But here's the nice part. I love the confirmation of, hey, we're still working on other stuff. We're a big team. We're working on other stuff. I would not be shocked if the next major FromSoftware game, major single-player, story-focused FromSoftware game comes out next year.
It's possible.
I wouldn't be shocked at all. This team is just active. They are a force when it comes to the amount of games that they are releasing. Whether it is a $40, 40 to 70-hour expansion with Erdtree, or Night Rain, or now this, we are, as FromSoftware fans, being satiated every year with some sort of piece of content. And I think that there's a chance we get 2 next year. I would not be shocked at all if it is SGF this year and Miyazaki's just like another one. Mm-hmm. That's just the way that this team works.
Yeah, I mean,
at this point,
2022 was base Elden Ring.
Yeah, and
right?
I'd be shocked if we go a full 5 years, because it seemingly was about every 3-year cycle. 2016 Bloodborne. 2017 was Dark Souls 3. Is that correct?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was 2015 Bloodborne.
2015, 2016 Dark Souls 3. 2019 Sekiro. 22 Elden Ring. Yeah, so every 3 years after that cadence. Yeah. Once again, those years might be. About every 3 years is what I'm trying to get after. Yeah. I'd be shocked if they went 4 years, because 2026 will be 4 years since Elden Ring. That's why I'm like, there's a good chance that I think that we could get that next year. 5 years at the max. And if that really is the case, it's like, cool. Well, we just feasted on a bunch of cool multiplayer experiences for the past couple years. Also, Erdtree, if you're an Elden Ring fan, but if you played Elden Ring, guess what? You're probably an Elden Ring fan. You're feasting over there. Like, there's so much content that they're releasing. I'm less excited about the Duskbloods than I was when I initially thought that it was a single player game. I think everyone is. I would be really shocked to figure out the fan that's like, I wanted this more than that. But the understanding that we're going to also get that, with being a single player adventure from this team, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with them trying some other stuff. I really do think it would have been a little bit better if it was Erdtree, Night Rain, single player, multiplayer, single player, and there was compared to back-to-back multiplayer experiences. But like at the same time, it goes back to Game Awards when Night Rain got revealed, and I'm fucking stoked, and then it gets dropped that it's a multiplayer thing, and I go, I'm still fucking stoked, because that's just I love playing these games and going on these adventures. And the fact that Night Rain is a cheaper product and it's only a $40 title, I'm curious to see what the price tag is on this one. I assume that it's not going to be full price.
When we talked about it earlier, you said not a system seller anymore. Do you still stand by that? I think
it's a system seller. Yeah, it's FromSoftware.
Yeah, it really depends on how of what quality it is.
It's FromSoftware. It's gonna be of the highest quality.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really curious to see where Night Rain ends up on Metacritic. The more I think about it, I'm like, I don't think it's a guaranteed 90 plus, but I'm like, am I gonna bet that this thing's under an 85, under an 87? I feel like that's foolhardy. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. This is gonna most likely be fucking awesome.
Yeah. Real quick, just when we were talking about the trailer aspect of it and the marketing aspect of it, I think that when the FromSoftware logo was coming up, you could have been like, I know it's a little cheesy, but like a new multiplayer experience from FromSoftware, and put that text on the screen, and then we go from there. I think it hurts the hype a little bit in that moment, but I think it's worth it to do that now and get out ahead of it than mislead the audience and have them feel betrayed like I do. And I think a lot of people are going to. Well, everybody was saying this is Bloodborne 2 after that trailer, and they're in for a rude awakening when they find out what this game is, and that sucks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next story. Headline: Cyberpunk 2077 on Nintendo Switch 2 runs at 40 FPS, costs $70. This is Mike Straw at Insider Gaming. Quote, when the Nintendo Switch 2 was fully revealed on April 2nd, one of the bigger third-party game announcements came from CD Projekt Red, confirming that Cyberpunk 2077 would be launching on the console. Now, just a day later, there are more details on what Switch 2 players can expect from the game on the new system. According to Studio's Vice President of Business Development, Jan Rosner, Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition will cost $70 when it releases on June 5th. What's more is that should you buy the physical version of the game, it will come full on the Switch 2 cartridge. Quote, the game will be distributed on a 64 gigabyte game card containing the game and expansion, no download required, as well as via digital download from Nintendo eShop for Nintendo Switch 2, end quote, Rosner said. The news of the game being included on physical game cards comes after Nintendo revealed that not all physical copies of games for the system will actually include the game themselves. Instead, they'll be treated as licensing keys that allow you to download and play the game on your console. In a social media post, Jason Schreier says that Cyberpunk 2077 ran at 40 FPS while in performance mode when the system was docked. He didn't mention how the game runs in handheld. End quote. Lot here. This was, in my opinion, one of the better stories on the week of like bringing in a ton of details. Shout out to Mike Straw at Insider Gaming. I'll start here. Is Cyberpunk at 40 FPS? Does that make you excited for what the system can do? Because you've already played Cyberpunk. You've already gone through that journey. You're not going to be playing Cyberpunk on the Switch 2. Let's call a spade. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. But when you hear 40 FPS, does that sound right to you? Does that excite you? Or is that a little bit of a letdown that we're not going to be getting 60 on the docked mode?
When it comes to performance on the Switch and the Switch 2, I always just kind of assume for really high fidelity ports that it's going to run worse than it does on everything else. And I think a lot of people have accepted that, and I know that you would expect that Switch 2 is going to fix that problem, but that's going to fix the problem for PS4 games that are coming over. I don't think this is going to fix the problem for high-fidelity PS5 games like we don't know how Elden Ring runs, I don't think, but for stuff like Cyberpunk, where it's like, I didn't expect that to run at 60 1080p. Yeah. Like that's on well, you talked about docked mode, in docked mode or in handheld mode, that like new games that eventually are ported over to this thing, this is still going to be an issue. So I'm not shocked by it. I wasn't going to play Cyberpunk anyways on it. It's cool that you do have the option to play it there and take it on the go with you. A lot of people are going to be like, well, why not just get a Steam Deck instead? We already talked about it. A lot of people are just going to have this because they're getting Nintendo Switch exclusives, and that's why they bought the console in the first place. And now you can also play Cyberpunk on it, and that's cool. But when I look at games like Yakuza 0, which probably couldn't run or wouldn't run very well on a Switch 1 that's going to be ported over now, I'm hoping that runs a lot better on Switch 2, and that's the experience that I'm excited for a little bit older games like PS4 games, like I said. So we'll see how it all pans out for all the games. But for Cyberpunk, I'm not shocked it's 40.
I'm not shocked it's 40, but also I'm stoked it's 40. I'm like, I would have expected 30. Once again, my expectations for this system were so bottom of the barrel low unless it had a $500 price tag on it. Mm-hmm. Like if it was 500, I was like, it needs to come in with 120 frames per second being a possibility on this console. I just want to reiterate it from story number one is batch insane.
How many times do you think we see that?
Not often, yeah. But it's possible. The fact that Cyberpunk is able to run on this thing, when I initially saw Cyberpunk, I was like, that's locked at 30. There's no way we're getting better than 30.
I thought it'd be 30 handheld. I thought it might be 60.
Connor, I feel like
1080.
Most games, we got to remind ourselves that there are games right now coming out for something like Xbox first party, like a Starfield, that is locked at 30. Yeah. Like, being able to get to 40 is a accomplishment. And when I think of a game like Cyberpunk, obviously you think of the high-end PC, you want the bells and whistles, you want every frame that you can get out of this game and the ray tracing and all that. But the people that are going to be playing this on the Switch 2 do not care too much about that.
Right.
They just want to play Cyberpunk because they are a Nintendo fan. But now I'm thinking of the person that bought the Switch when they were like 16, 17, like I did, and then that like all my buddies were doing, and then now they're 25. It's like, oh, I never played Cyberpunk. Like I'm gonna now hop in on this one and buy the Switch 2 and have that experience. And it running at 40, I promise that type of consumer does not care about the frames per second too much. They just want it to not be a shit show, and 40 frames is not a shit show to me. Like I'm like, that's rock and roll. Is it going to cook on handheld mode? Yeah, I assume that it does for the Steam Deck. There was I think it was Gene Park that tweeted out being like, this runs a little bit better than Steam Deck. I want to make, once again in the comments, see if that quote's right and everything, but like there is validity to this type of system running third-party games, if it's able to pull 40 frames. I'm going to be playing Street Fighter 6 on this thing. I'm really curious to see what it does handheld, frames-wise, and fidelity-wise when it comes to the dock mode, because Street Fighter is a game that you need your frames. Frames win games on something like a fighting game. And so, like, I'm going to be very curious to see how that all shakes out, especially when we're on an airplane and I'm really trying to go and like dial in my my punches and everything. It's going to be very focused on what are we getting from these third party type games. And I would love 40 for Street Fighter handheld, or even docked. If I can get 40 for Street Fighter, but also be able to take it on the go and get a steady 30, sign me up. I'm happy with that.
Right.
It's also just a reminder of like, you're not buying this for frames. You're buying this to play Donkey Kong Bonanza and play Mario Kart on the go with your buds.
And then also it's just nice to have the option just to play Cyberpunk if you want.
For
along
me,
with that,
it's nice to have the option to bring Street Fighter 6 on an airplane, or if I'm traveling, I'm going to Bonnaroo like 2 weeks after this thing comes out. You think that me and my buddy are not going to be at a pit stop getting some flaming hot fries and going at it and playing some Street Fighter? Come on. Run it. Why not? Like, let's have some fun. There's a lot to enjoy when it comes to third party. There's been so many awesome things, but this story was twofold. It also had the game card story in it a little bit, which has been a story that has been going all throughout every different outlet of holy shit. You, for certain games, are not going to have your game. You're going to have a licensing key. When you get the box, it is not going to have every single bit of information that you need to play a game. Thankfully, Cyberpunk does. Shout out to that team, because I think that is a good thing. I hope that every single time we hear that, we celebrate it, because it's a necessary thing to celebrate. But where are you at with this game key situation?
I think it's really interesting because, first of all, a lot of people were saying that it was every game at first. The cartridges had no data on it.
Yeah.
Now we know that stuff like Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, Cyberpunk does. Elden Ring doesn't, which is probably going to be a big file size, which is very concerning. This has become something that is prevalent in the games industry right now. If you buy Call of Duty or certain games, I'm pretty sure Call of Duty is one of them, on PS5 on disc, there is a shot. It's something like 30% of the games do not have any data on it. It is the same thing. It's a licensing thing. So it's disappointing as somebody who obviously collects physical games. Not excited about it. I'm glad it's not as bad as it seemed like it was at first. I get people being upset about it. I'm not excited that the industry is moving in this direction, mainly because I think it's going to suck when it comes to storage space. It's like, this thing doesn't have like a ton of storage space, so something like Elden Ring needing to be downloaded, that fucking sucks.
Also, like, I just want to fucking play Elden Ring. Let me go and plug and play sort of deal.
Right.
To make it not a beefy ass download, put as much of it on the card as possible.
And now it really makes sense with the game card sharing digital thing that they revealed at the Nintendo Switch 1 Direct a week earlier, that like this kind of seems like they're just trying to meld all of that messaging into one thing, where it's like you can take this cartridge out, even though it's not like, it doesn't have anything on there or whatever, and put it in another Switch and download it and play it there. And that's similar to like the digital game cartridge thing, I guess. And that might be like why they announced that in the first place. It's not good. Not excited about it. I'm glad it's not as bad as we thought it was initially. I'm very curious to see what games do and what games don't have it. Like something like Bravely Default is so weird to me, because it's like, it's not a big file size. Just throw it on the fucking thing. Like, is it really that big of a, like, why is that a problem? Like, it just doesn't really make any sense logically as to why they wouldn't. Why are they even going through the trouble of selling these cartridges like this if it doesn't have anything on there other than being able to share it? And like, you're buying it like that because you want to be able to share it more freely. And that's like the only reason. It's like, that's so weird.
Before hopping out of this, well, I actually want to give my take real quick. I am not a physical collector. I mainly buy digital, mainly because midnight drops. Cool. I want to go and play the game, and I don't want to go to GameStop. But then there's times like this year where it's like, oh, well, Split Fiction, Brady's coming over later. I can swing by GameStop. We can have it at the back wall. Cool. Great. The Switch 2 box art, butt ugly. This looks way fucking better than the Switch 2 box art.
I saw somebody with a Mario Kart World. I think it's real. A Mario Kart World box, like in person.
Yeah.
It doesn't look as bad as in person as you think it does.
Maybe.
It still doesn't look great.
That looks way better.
Yeah, it does.
With that being said, I most likely am not going to buy anything that's digital, because then there's no real sake for other than to have a case, I guess, and maybe for you and I to be able to hand games off. Speaking of which, remember to bring over Sekiro. Is there a PS5 version of Sekiro? There's got to be.
I don't think so.
Okay, if not, bring over your copy for stream. We did not go through the stream schedule for this upcoming week during housekeeping. That's besides the point. I don't care for this too much, but I know that the people that do are really upset with it, and I get why they're upset, though. It's sort of thing. This is one that doesn't affect me, but I am annoyed. I feel like we've only talked about negative stuff today. Connor, I want to ask you, it's been a couple days. Are you still buying the same games that you initially thought with the Switch 2, or has things changed for you a little bit?
I mean, I'm going to buy Bravely Default's digital for sure. Now rather than physical, that's decided by the game cartridge download thing. No, other than that, nothing has changed. I'm a sicko. Unfortunately, I like new tech. I'm going to buy the console. I'm going to buy Mario Kart World, Yakuza, and Bravely Default, and maybe try out Deltarune. That's my plan.
For me, it's Deltarune, Street Fighter 6, Mario Kart World. Definitely am going to pick up a Pro controller for the Pro 2 controller.
Pro controller looks nice. It's expensive. That's the thing. Like with the Switch 1, we were all freaking out about the cost of the Joy-Cons and the Pro. So like going into this, I was like, there's going to be some expensive bullshit here.
Yeah.
Didn't expect it to be as bad as it was.
Yeah, I thought there was a chance we were talking $100 Pro controller. Honestly, with the back ones, if they wanted to throw it out there for $100, I would not have been shocked.
Yeah. It's like the only...
Is it less than 100 with back buttons from a major first party?
They're the only ones?
Any. Yeah.
Even close to that.
Well, there's third party ones that you can get for cheaper, but like when it comes to what PlayStation and Xbox are distributing, yeah, like the Edge is a couple $100. Mm-hmm. The Elite controllers up there too. Yeah, why not? All right. Final news story for the day. Naughty Dog has been working on an unannounced game for 3 years, it's claimed. This is Grant Taylor Hill at Insider Gaming. Quote, Naughty Dog was most recently in the news after Neil Druckmann kind of suggested that there might not be another Last of Us game. He later expanded on those comments by stressing that he'll take each project as it comes and that right now the team is focusing on delivering Intergalactic, an all-new IP. However, a recent claim from an insider might point to Naughty Dog working on something else in secret. Per a recent report, it seems that Naughty Dog has a game in the works that has been taking shape for more than 3 years, and it is being led by Sean Eskeg, who formerly directed Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. The claim that Naughty Dog is working on an unannounced game that has been in development for 3 years comes from Daniel RPK. The report was posted on their Patreon, which is paywalled, and has since shared more publicly by the game post. It reads, Naughty Dog has a second project, not The Last of Us 3, directed by Sean Eskeg. It has been in development for 3 years now. End quote. I want to take a lead on this one. Mm-hmm. Great news.
Fantastic
news. Like, by God, once again, Sean is a very capable director.
Lost Legacy rules.
He knows how to make a smaller title. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he can get out of the fucking door sometime soon-ish. Mm-hmm. This is all good shit to me. Please be real. Once again, whenever we have a story and it comes after it's claimed, this isn't solidified news. Please be real, because Naughty Dog is one of those three devs that I talk about all the time. It's Rockstar, it's Naughty Dog, and it's fucking FromSoft. FromSoft has it figured out where they're able to create bangers once a year, and it's been 5 years since we've gotten a Naughty Dog game, and it seems like it's going to be even longer. This is the solution. We talk about it all the time, releasing smaller games. Especially when games are getting more expensive, finding ways to release $50 titles. If this is a full price game, also fine. Give them the time, give them what they need, and make it great.
I think that based off of the discussion we had a few weeks ago about that God of War game, that maybe the whole business plan for Sony is changing a little bit. That we're going to get these smaller interstitial titles like we got with Lost Legacy, like we got with Miles Morales, that it seems like they totally ditched for the rest of the generation at this point, that they might be coming back being like, these games are taking really long, and the narrative around PS5 right now is that it has no games. And the way you combat that is you get out more fucking games.
Also, canceled so many gosh darn games.
Right.
They need titles. And so you got to go to old reliables. I make the joke all the time. When you need a hit, you go and find a Beatles B track and you re-release that for the 78th time. You go to your fucking workhorse studios that are the best in the biz and you get them to go and make something cool, put it out for $50, 10 hours. This comes to something that I wanted to discuss here a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more on CGC, I assume. I really want to play South of Midnight again. Like, that being a $40 title and being a quick experience, 10-hour, 12-hour experience that made me emotional and excited. If we're getting that from teams from Sony, also great. We need more of that. South of Midnight for me is the case. I know that you don't love that game as much as I do. It's really funny. I think that you do enjoy that game when it comes to the things that I really enjoy. The music's great, all that good stuff. But like, make those types of games.
One of the best parts about it is the length.
Yeah.
Too.
That game, if that game was a 17-hour game, I probably would have dropped it a point or something. It goes in, it does what it needs to do, and then right as you're getting really sick of the combat for the 80th time, it's like, cool, the game's over, so you don't have to do it anymore. Like, great. Everything else in it was so fucking awesome. I just wanted that stuff in the first place. I think that this is great news. This is some of my favorite type of news that we get on this show, where it is just like, hey, this is a W. I love when we ask for something on this show, and then months later it's like, hey, it looks like we're doing it.
What do you think it is?
I think it's new IP. I don't think it's Uncharted.
It's got to be Uncharted. I think
it would be a great win for them.
Do another Chloe game, please,
dude.
What about an Elena game?
I would love to see a Elena game that is the lead up to the moment she meets up with Drake in Uncharted 2.
That'd be cool.
Just like the game literally cuts right as like they run into each other, and it just rolls credits of like, give me a batshit insane story, and then like she goes at the very end, cutscene goes, she gets the cameraman, and they're like, all right, we got to go to this, and then it's boom.
Right, hold. Somebody clip that, just in case it happens.
Somebody get me,
because I feel like that's reasonably possible. That is something you could pull at or whatever. Yeah. People love Elena. You could do a young Sully game, maybe.
Oh, dude,
you could do a Sully and Sam game. They set that up at the end of 4. You also have other things that I'll try my best not to spoil here that they can jump off of. But I think the most reasonable or most logical thing is another Chloe game. And I would be down for that.
I mean, Chloe is probably my second favorite Uncharted character.
Or do somebody else. Just do somebody new. Just have it have the
if
feel.
It's going to be Uncharted, keep it in the crew that we have. There's so many great stories. Do you need to? No. Do I want? Yeah.
We weren't in love with Chloe.
I was
until we met them in 2.
Connor, I met Chloe when I was like 10 years old. I was immediately in love with Chloe. Okay,
I'm saying like you have to introduce somebody for you to fall in love with them. You know what I mean? So you can do that in a new title. I feel like I know that might be an uphill battle, but
all right. Well, that was our last news story, Connor. We got some dearly beloved names to read out. Thank you for everyone that supports the show over on Patreon at this tier. Amazing members like Apathetic Titan,
JC Falcon,
Bros and Crushes,
Jack CT,
Sconzi,
Cherry Sentry,
DK or DQ Lonzer,
Gamers Glade,
Tyler D,
Scooterman,
Dinkelberg Rules,
Senshuru,
Hook'em Horns,
Gonash,
Neutral Sphere,
Charlie W,
Easton C,
Stooby Dooby,
Calvin M,
Nuke This Kingdom,
Crispy,
DJ Zach B,
JC,
Uli,
Jacob D,
Big Mac,
Metal Nate,
Drillix,
The Patty Cake,
Bear Pog,
Yogi,
Dom,
Holden M,
Colin C,
Brock,
Voodoo,
Dr. Pookie Bear,
Alex W,
Andrew H,
Master Diz,
Jesse F,
Drifter X1,
Skirt, Presto,
Maverick,
Goops,
JMatt B3,
Ali Benali,
Michael,
and Vorpal Matt. Thank you all so much for supporting this show. We will see you in the next one. Peace out.